what we're doing now is we're still taking that same kind of approach. Entertainment first, superhero stories first, message later on, message later. That'll come through it. That'll come through what we're doing. The fact that we exist is a message. There's no need to beat anyone over the head with anything. Just tell good stories and fun stories.
So we're 2 years into the Milestone revival. Was there a 5-year plan when you set out to do this? And what can you tell us about how far along on your initial plans you guys are?
There was a big plan. Reggie and I and Derek, our other partner, we did think about what we wanted to do. When we first started talking about this with DC and Jim Lee, we came out 2 years ago, but we've been developing this for was 3 years before that. So there's been a lot of thought, a lot of development, a lot of prep time getting this stuff ready for all the different things that we wanted to do. But anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Yes, there's plans. We took the time to plan out what we wanted to do, and some of it is happening now as we speak. So,
and one of those things is the impending Milestone documentary.
Yes, the Milestone Generations documentary. It's just basically tracing the history of what we did from the 90s and taking us to today, what we're doing right now. So it was exciting, nerve-wracking to film because, I'm being asked about the past, and someone asked me, well, how do you feel about talking about yourself, about what you did? And then I'm like, well, in some cases it was okay, but in a lot of cases you're thinking, I wasn't thinking about that stuff back then. We were really just trying to get stuff done. But now you're asking me to retroactively go back and assign meanings to things that didn't necessarily mean that. It meant something, but not what we thought, what it turned out to mean later on.
I assume you were involved in helping with look over the archival footage and things like that.
With the movie.
Was there anything that you had forgotten about, or did you learn anything about yourself or Milestone while you were working on this stuff?
Well, when people see, there was plenty of stuff. One, man, we sure used to dress fly. We were always wearing suits and ties and stuff. And I'm like, what happened to that guy? I had hair, so that was different. Looking at that young man, it was a good experience. But again, I don't like going through the past, and that's a big part of what that was. Mm-hmm. It did give me a chance, though, to look at things in a different context from being older and realizing, wow, what we did was pretty important. What we did was cool. And being able to explain to people what we were doing then. So it's a double thing. One, I hate living in the past, but the other one, I enjoy talking about what we accomplished at Milestone and what we've yet to do.
I feel like the original run of Milestone,
yeah.
Obviously you were ahead of your time as a company.
Right.
But I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've read any of the original stuff. Yeah. Looking back, I seem to remember feeling that you guys were ahead of the curve with the way you were laying out storylines in books. It was almost I know writing for the trade is kind of an ugly way to talk about stuff, but it almost feels like you guys were doing that even back in the early days.
It was smart writing, and it was deliberate. We did want to create stories that were timeless. We really did. But the way to do that is you can talk about topical subjects, but you're not making the topical subject the thing your book is about. It just happens to be what's going on in the world, but your archetypal characters are dealing with it. So the characters and what they're made of stays the same. It's a very strong, we started out with strong archetypes with Static, with Icon of Rocket, with Hardware, with the Blood Syndicate. They were all very deliberately designed to do what they ended up doing, which is being kind of perennials. So that was all part of the grand design from the beginning. It really was. I would like to say that was all me. I would love to say, I saw so far into the future that I could see that these characters would stand the test of time if we did X, Y, and Z. But that wouldn't be true. A lot of that was Dwayne McDuffie, truly an architect of a universe. Truly had the vision to see what this could be and was brave in ways that we all were not. Dwayne was the one who pushed transgender, gay people. Well, if we're going to do it, we're going to really do it. I'm terrified. I'm like, it's bad enough we're just doing black people. Now you want to do all this other stuff. But Dwayne was really adamant about it, and it turns out he was absolutely right. All that kind of stuff helped, but a lot of that was him.
What do you think Dwayne would think of the revival so far? How do you guys kind of infuse that spirit into the new books?
That is a good question. I haven't even thought about what Dwayne would think about it because, just working with him so closely all those years. What would he say? I know what he would say. He'd say, one, why isn't he writing all this stuff? That's the first thing he'd say. How could you guys do this without me? There'd be a lot of questions that Dwayne would have if he was alive and looking at this now. But if Dwayne was alive, it would be a whole different texture to what we're doing. Hopefully we're continuing what that legacy is. But who knows what he would have done? We could only speculate, about what he would have bought. Hopefully he would have really liked it. Hopefully he would have really dug what we're doing now. But his first response was, why are you doing it and not me? What happened with our deal that you're doing this and not me? That would be his that would be his thing.
But the Milestone Initiative,
yes,
that's something that you would talk about legacy, right? And
we love the Milestone Initiative. The Milestone Initiative started out. We have a collaboration with Ally Bank or Ally. They wanted to help us reach not underprivileged kids, but kids who don't have the same opportunity, don't have the same shot at getting into comics as other people. It's an incredibly tough business to get into anyway. If you're a creative color and you don't have access to all the ways to get in, it can be impossible. So what the Milestone Initiative is a way to provide these kids an entry into our industry. And we're not doing anything right if we're just doing comic books, pumping them out, getting people to buy them, getting this money, whatever, if we're not giving back to the community in a significant way. That's a tradition that we're determined to keep up. So that's what the Milestone Initiative is. We can go forward only if we're reaching back and helping people, pulling them into what we're doing. And that's what it is. So it's 12 writers, 12 artists. They got a 12-week course. DC Comics and Ally Bank and the Kubert School and plenty of people. Amy Chu, they had great teachers teaching them writing and drawing. Tom Mandrake. And I think that the cohorts, that's what we call them, got a lot out of it. Some of that talent's so blazing, we're gonna hire them right away. They're all doing remarkable things though. So the Milestone Initiative was a big deal for us.
I don't want to keep comparing like original Milestone and Milestone Revival, but again, just because of the way that you guys were ahead of your time with the way you laid out that universe.
Yeah.
And then you had an opportunity to do it again with this one. And I think it's very smart how you're rolling these books out slowly this time, right? Because how many books were in the original Milestone launch?
There were 4 titles.
Okay.
One for each week of the month.
Okay.
So we just wanted to occupy every week. Mm-hmm. Just like old school comics. Come out on time, no matter what. Be there for when people go to the stands. But 1 week. That's why we start with 4 titles. That's why. And then eventually, we expanded to whatever we ended up doing. 12 titles.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
But it was the 90s.
Yeah, it was the 90s. You could do that.
More is more.
Yeah,
is
you
more.
could do that. So, now it's a little different,
but when you were that universe kind of arrived fully formed,
right?
Which a lot of other independent companies at the time kind of were trying to do that. You guys actually did it, and you did it right.
Yeah.
And again, you did it right the first time. Now you're doing it again. So what lessons did you learn? What were the things that you're okay, this time when we launch it, here's how we're going to lay this stuff out and pace it out a little differently?
So much of the stuff back then was laid out really well. So like I said, all the bones were there to do a great, even if, they returned 10 years ago, all the stuff was there to make them great. All we did was look at a lot of current events about what was going on, because Milestone was always about what's going on now, what could happen in the future, but we didn't do message comics at all, which is why you like them. So what we're doing now is we're still taking that same kind of approach. Entertainment first, superhero stories first, message later on, message later. That'll come through it. That'll come through what we're doing. The fact that we exist is a message. There's no need to beat anyone over the head with anything. Just tell good stories and fun stories. That's what we're about now. So it hasn't been that hard to navigate from one universe from the 90s to the current one now. Because all the structure is still there. It's still the same and it still works.
You announced Static Season 2.
Yes. Shadows of something.
Is it Shadows?
We're not calling it Season 2 though, because you can't call things Season 2.
Because it won't sell.
People won't buy it. People don't want Season 2. They want new.
Yeah.
So
is it Shadows of Dakota?
Shadows of Dakota, yeah.
Okay.
It's Static Shock, not season 2, Shadows of Dakota. So.
All right, we'll edit this. We'll make it look good.
Right.
So we're going to fix it.
It'll be all good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Anything that you could tell us about that?
Well, yes. The original artist, Nicholas Draper Ivey, is back along with Vita Ayala. They're collaborating. Nicholas is co-writing this time. He has a lot of ideas about Static. He is probably the biggest Static fan of all time to end up drawing the book. We found him on Instagram because he put up Static Shock samples. And I'm like, this is one of the greatest Statics I've ever seen. It's like in his anime style. Let's call this kid. The interesting story, when I called him, I reached out to him, and the first thing I Instagram messaged him, and he was like, get the out of here. You're not Dennis Cowan. Like, yeah, right. And totally blew me off. Totally like, psh, okay, dude, come back when you really, like one of those. So I ended up hitting back again, like, no, it's me. This is real. Do you want to work on Static? And then he was like, oh, wait, you're real? And then it turned into a whole different thing. It was very charming in a way. It was really charming. But yeah, we're very excited about what they're doing with season 2. They're already in it. We've seen a bunch of designs, seen the storylines. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
How far ahead do you have the Milestone universe mapped out?
Pretty far ahead. If you look at the last issue of Hardware number 6, or we did a book called Milestones in History, and Milestones in History is basically telling the story of Black historical figures that have never been told in comics or anywhere. Eugene Bullard, Hannibal, people like that are featured in our book. Not like Frederick Douglass, who's great, but just different people like that. Lucy, the first human. One of the stories at the end of the book is a Hardware story where he discovers Benjamin Banneker's time machine. And Benjamin Banneker built a time machine. Yes, he did, which is insane. He discovers it. What he does with it, you'll be able to figure out between the end of Hardware number 6 and Milestones in History. We talk about what we're doing in the future. So yes, it's all been planned out, all very carefully. And we're excited to bring it to people.
When I was a kid and I was first kind of starting to understand, different comic art styles, one of the first things that I read and one of the first things that jumped out at me was your 3-issue run on Detective Comics with Sam Hamm, Blind Justice.
Right.
And I think that was probably the first time I recognized, your name. Like after that, your name was somebody that I would look for on books.
Oh man, thank you.
Do you have any memories of that particular Batman story? Because I feel like it's forgotten in some ways, and it's not kind of held like in the same kind of timeless regard as some of the other Batman tales from that era, and I think it should be.
My memories of it are fond memories. I mean, I got a chance to meet Sam, the screenwriter of the movie, and we ended up becoming really good friends and collaborators. So while I was doing that book, I spent a lot of time in San Francisco with Sam and just talking about what we were doing. So I have fond memories about that. It is a little disappointing that it's not held quite the same as some of the other things, which I think are not as good. Though, of course, all Batman stuff is great. Yet, when the book came out, it sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of copies. This is right at the tail end of Batman, and of the movie stuff, and Batman 2 was coming out, and it was all kinds of stuff. So at the time, it was incredibly successful. DC was pretty happy with what we did. But I'm always interested in getting books into people's hands. Critical acclaim is awesome, but I'm much more into the fans and how they feel about it and how we emotionally connect with them, more so than the critics.
That was a big deal, that book. And I don't think there's anything, I don't think critics didn't like it. I just think that for whatever reason, that was such a big deal at the time. Yeah. And it just hasn't been kept in print.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah,
not
we got to do something.
But they bought all the questions back, and put those in the hardcover collection, the work that Denny and I did. So I don't see why they wouldn't. It was successful. Do it. Put it in print.
And that led me to your work on the question too. I was too young for the question.
Yeah.
And so that was a big deal. But I just had to shout that out.
Wow,
because
thank you.
I've been reading your stuff for 30 years now,
man,
and,
so
and
great.
it's great to finally meet you. I got one more.
Yes.
I have to ask this stuff.
Okay.
When original Milestone came around, superhero movies were not what they are today.
Nope. There was only Batman.
Yeah, there was only Batman. Like, you were lucky if you got one a year, and you were really lucky if it was any good.
Right.
Times have changed.
Yes.
And there has been talk of, Static Movie.
Yeah.
With Michael B. Jordan's production company.
Right.
Has there been any more movement on bringing the Milestone characters to other media?
There has been. I mean, right now with DC, our partners at DC, we're talking about a lot of video game stuff. So I think some of our characters are slated to be in 2 video games, which I'm not going to reveal now. But that's true. They're going to be in video games. There's one being developed all on our own. There's plans for animation. We had a very successful show called Static Shock.
Yeah, loved it.
That came on in the 90s. So, there are things to be done in that space that I think would resonate with kids today. There's definitely plans outside of comics. We're doing stuff. Some of the stuff I can't talk about, but that's okay.
I tried, folks.
I know.
I tried.
Now I have to do the pivot. I can't talk about that, but what I can talk about is our young adult graphic novel that's going to be out, in 2023 with Lamar Giles and Paris Aline. We're excited to be in that space too. So we're in all the spaces. Toys with Todd McFarlane. I just did a panel with Todd. I'm looking at him like, thank you for doing the toys. Good on you, he said. So there's things happening. Yeah.
Okay. So next year at San Diego, we'll be talking about...
It's the 30th anniversary. It'll be Milestone's 30th anniversary. So it's going to be insane. I want to have a big party. I don't know about anybody else, but I definitely want to have a big party, and we'll see. We'll see if we can get people to pull that off for us. That'd be dope.
Mr. Cowan, pleasure to finally meet you.
The pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been great. Thank you, sir.